share with you what happened in my life that created that loneliness epidemic for me. And this is a really big one. Choosing the wrong life partner. 3 separate things happened at the same time. It was really like a 10-alarm fire going on, and I didn't know how to solve it for many, many years. And there I was, bored out of my mind.
Do you want the latest information for Philippine expats and expat vloggers? Then you're in the right place, as things are always happening with Philippine expats. Welcome to this Sunday's edition of Expat News, where I cover the latest news, stories, and events affecting expats and the expat vlogger community in particular in the Philippines. Well, hi, I'm Eric, and welcome to my Island Expats channel. Just as a reminder, these expat news videos come out on Sunday mornings here in the US, so you know when to expect them. Anyway, going on with this week's edition, make sure you stay tuned for the Every Couple Has a Story segment, and that's going to come up shortly as I give the story how one of our popular vlogger couples has met and some of the details of their personal relationship that they're willing to share with us. And then that will be followed by the Expat Lightning Round, where I cover a few interesting short clips from expat vloggers. These will both happen after the main content of this video. And for this week, we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to start off with the video of the week. And this week, we're going to hear from...
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines. And today I want to talk to you about the loneliness epidemic that is happening in the West. And I want to talk to you about my own experience, how I ended up finding myself a victim of being ill-prepared for retirement, suffering from loneliness, a shortage of good companions, good friendships, and how I navigated myself from that box that was very depressing, facing financial difficulty, and I navigated my way out of that box. I found a door in that room, I opened it, I stepped out of it, and I found myself here living the life that I've been sharing with you in the Philippines. So first, if I could, let's talk about the loneliness epidemic and what is causing it. Many men were in relationships with women, and that person was their best friend. And that relationship ended, and also their work life ended. And many of these relationships we had, many of these friendships we had, were all built around our family life. We were friends with parents of our children's friends. We were friends with couples who were friends with our wives' coworkers, our own work friends. And as you leave the workforce and as you leave a long-term relationship, these friendships can wither away and just disappear. It's a little bit like being ghosted in a relationship. You find that friends move away, friends stay at the job and continue on with their social habits, and you now have to adapt. And I want to share with you what happened in my life that created that loneliness epidemic for me. I had left the corporate world and I owned a real estate brokerage. And I was lucky in that I timed the opening of that real estate brokerage and my real estate career with a real estate boom. But like many booms, a bust soon followed. 3 separate things happened at the same time. My real estate brokerage, which had a very high level of fixed expenses associated with it, a 5-year lease, $500 a month for my Xerox machine, $500 a month for the internet for the office, $3,000 a month in fixed brokerage fees to the parent brokerage, crazy high expenses, and the market had a complete cardiac. And simultaneous with that bust in the real estate market. My youngest child went off to college and I faced an empty nest. Now, my kids all went off to swim in college and I was sort of a helicopter dad, and I would attend 43 days at least per year of swim meets. I used to be the announcer and I was quite involved in my kids' athletics, and for many, many years, my primary friendships were with the other parents of the other elite competitive swimmers. And when my youngest left to go off to college, it created this empty nest. And the opportunities to socialize with those couples became smaller and smaller and smaller. We didn't see them at swim meets. We had to go out of our way to make social plans. And at the exact same moment in 2008, when my kid went off to college, my youngest, and the nest went empty, was when the real estate market went dead. When I left corporate America and I opened up a brokerage and became a residential realtor, I used to tell people I had never listed a home that I hadn't sold. And they'd have to be really unlucky to list their house with me, and I would be, it would be the first one that I wouldn't sell. What chances they could be that unlucky? And when the market crashed, I had 22 listings in my own name. I had sold 2 residential houses per week for 62 weeks straight. What a run. It was insane. Everything was coming up roses, everything going right. My kid went off to swim on a scholarship in college, and the market busted, the empty nest came, and I was like the Maytag repairman. I had 23 listings in my own name. I would avoid people in the supermarket. I couldn't sell any of the 23. You couldn't sell a house for what it was worth. Now, I lived in a small upscale subdivision, and my next door neighbor's house I sold for $1.5 million. And 1 year later, at the peak of my divorce, I sold my own home, which was nicer than his, for $750,000. Everything went bad. And I found myself in a loneliness epidemic. Instead of answering 300 phone calls a day, instead of being busy, I was like the Maytag repairman. That's someone who just has no work to do. There was no work to do. You could not make money in my profession for several years to come. It was impossible to earn any income. And all my relationships were sort of evaporating right in front of my eyes. And I went through a divorce, and I went through a financial crisis of my own, and I had to reinvent my life. And when I reinvented my life, I found myself in a loneliness epidemic. When I was in a long-term relationship, I had typically my best friend was the woman I was in that relationship with. And I had several long-term relationships during the next 10 years. But I found myself doing unsatisfying work to earn income, which was nothing compared to what I had made previously. And I didn't have the same friends. The people who didn't get divorced, they weren't as friendly. The couples I used to socialize with, I didn't get the invitations anymore. The people who knew both my wife and me previously, they didn't encourage friendships with me. Now, there is Facebook, and you do keep up with people and you keep up with friends that way, but it's not the same thing as having close friends. And I wasn't playing golf, and I wasn't in a poker group, and I wasn't reaching out. I didn't feel good about how my economic situation had changed. I think that was a big part of it. And my self-worth, my self-image, and my opportunities for rebuilding the relationships with my kids after the divorce, everything was in turmoil. And I found myself facing a classic loneliness epidemic where the strength of my previous friendships were weakened. People had moved away. The job friends were no longer there. It was really like a 10-alarm fire going on, and I didn't know how to solve it for many, many years. And when I turned 62, I began a second long-term relationship. After 5 years, I began a second long-term relationship, and I retired at 62, and I started traveling 5 months a year out of the country. I learned that you don't need a lot of money to travel long term. You can get Airbnbs in foreign countries and stay a month, and you can eat lunch instead of dinner out. You can do all sorts of things booking your own travel. It's very doable. And I would be away from America for 5 months a year, typically 2.5 months at a time, and I'd come back. Now, some of the times we'd go to Puerto Vallarta for a month or two, and there would be a gang of Westerners in the pool, and we'd get to know them. They were casual friends, but they weren't the type of really, really good friends you'd go out to dinner with. They weren't the type of friends you'd come play cards with. They weren't people you'd go to see concerts with. They weren't people you could talk about your problems with and share intimate issues with. And it was a real lack of social connectivity that I was experiencing. To make matters worse, I had entered into a relationship with a woman from Taiwan who was a very good travel partner and had a great attitude about traveling, but didn't like to talk about philosophy, politics, world history, just the types of conversation I would normally talk to with my guy friends, or I had previously had the ability to talk to with the people I'd been in long-term relationships with. And there I was, bored out of my mind in the West, not a happy camper. My pension income was not what I thought it would be earlier in life. And I was facing a little bit of a dilemma. I kept reading these studies about how a lack of good networking, good friendships in retirement years was a cause for early death, was a cause for all kinds of medical issues could pop up. I knew it wasn't healthy not to have a robust social life, but I didn't want to, I was constantly leaving every 10 weeks to go on another trip. It would interrupt whatever friendships I'd made at the gym. So I wasn't volunteering. I wasn't taking courses at the junior college in photography or developing other hobbies. I was enjoying books on tape as I exercised. That was my one absolute best retreat. I used Audible, an app, and I took these courses, college courses called The Great Courses. Best recommendation I could ever make to anybody who has time, who likes to exercise with some headphones on. And before I would go to Egypt, I took a course on Egyptology. Before I went to France, I took a course on the French Revolution and Napoleon. And if it wasn't for those college courses and those college professors and those books on tape, I think I would have gone nuts. And I mean, the degree of loneliness was extreme. The Taiwanese woman I was living with just couldn't engage me in compelling conversation. There were lots of other positive things about the relationship, but I just experienced a degree of loneliness, and I never developed guy friends to substitute for what I wasn't getting at home. And I would call my daughter up and she's like, "Dad, I got 3 kids. I can't talk to you. I know you need someone to talk to. I don't have the time." And my kids were getting into their early 30s. They just didn't want to fill the void. They didn't want to have me bend their ear or tell them about an article I had read or something. The types of casual conversation you have with buddies when you're out walking or when you're playing tennis or when you're golfing. I didn't have any of it. I was just a total mess. And possibly, if you're watching this video, you are in that box. You're no longer in a long-term relationship, or you find yourself in your late 50s or in your 60s or early 70s, and you do not have a compelling relationship. And the availability of women to date, the cost of dating them, the cost and difficulties of dating them, the problems that you're facing seem insurmountable, and you too know what the regrets are in retirement. So they've done a lot of studies where, when people are dying, they ask what are their biggest regrets, and people have, hospice nurses have written books, the top 5 things that people say on their deathbeds, like what do they really regret? And I kept thinking about those regrets. I kept hearing these stories where people had documented people's regrets when they died, or what were the regrets of retirees. Now, people always wish they had a little bit more money in retirement, but pretty much you would always hear people say they wish they had retired sooner. And, if you just do a look at your relatives and your father and your grandfather and you figure out how old you are, and, how much time you have left and what are you going to do with that time? And will your health hang in there? Will you be one of the lucky ones who is healthy right up until the end? Or will you face a debilitating disease where you have a downward spiral over 10 years while you manage that disease? We don't really know what the future holds for us. We just have our present moment, and we've hopefully learned from our past. But most you will hear is they wish they had retired earlier. And I retired at 62, and I mean, I took less pension, but I'm really glad I did. And it's been 6 years, and I'm very, very happy of that decision. Quite often, when you get a list of regrets, people will say they didn't prioritize their health. You know, they let their health go. And I heard this analogy once, like life is like juggling 8 glass balls. You know, one is your career, one is your family life, one is your fitness, health. And if you drop that ball, if that glass ball drops, well, that one can't be picked up and put back up in the air. But if you drop your job, if you drop a relationship, if your friendship ends with somebody, you can fix it. But if sometimes you just can't fix your health. So not prioritizing health, not eating right, not being fit, you know, cutting back on some bad vices is often one of the regrets you hear. Missing out on hobbies is another regret retirees often talk about. They didn't take up kayaking. They didn't take up mountain biking. They didn't take up surfing. They didn't take up snow skiing. They didn't enjoy these types of hobbies, woodworking, and they find themselves in retirement and they don't have that passion that they see that other people have. And there's still time to do it. I remember my grandfather took up portrait painting in retirement, and he had a garage with every tool you could ever buy, and he had woodworking for his hobby, and I always admired that about him. And it can still be done. Failure to travel and see the world. You know, you put your nose to the grindstone, you sacrifice everything for your kids and for your family. You don't waste money traveling extravagantly, but next thing you know, you haven't really traveled. Now, when I turned 62, I took off and I learned you can travel the world inexpensively. And that's what I did. And I went to about 55 plus countries. And that was on top of some international sales travel that I did for work. And I enjoyed that immensely, immensely. And now that I'm 68, I don't feel that urge to go back to Spain, to go back to Athens. I mean, I'd like to show Chrissy, but I just don't feel the personal urge. I've seen the pyramids. I've been to Machu Picchu. I've done it. I got it done. I don't have that regret, but it didn't solve my loneliness problem. It didn't solve my loneliness problem. I was lonely while I traveled the world, and I was really, really lonely when I was back home. Retirees always say they spent too much time worrying, that they worried about the downside risk, the worst case scenario. They were always worrying about the potential problems, and they didn't let go. They didn't break out and take that risk. They didn't go down the black diamond. They didn't surf the big wave. They didn't make the big bet at the casino. They didn't buy the nice car. They just didn't do that thing they wished they had tried. And the time will come when, as a retiree, you're going to really wish you had, if you're like a lot of retirees. Not solving family estrangements and difficulties you might have with family members. You know, life is short, and the ability to say that you forgive. I mean, whether you're right or wrong. I had this real estate partner, and he always said to me, Rob, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? And when it comes to family, it's rich in relationships and rich in experiences. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. Family is family. And when you are older and you retire, you will wish that you didn't let that grudge get in the way of a better relationship. So you don't want to take those problems going forward. It will be one of your biggest regrets. And this is a really big one. Choosing the wrong life partner. Are you in a loveless relationship? Did you get divorced or separated after many years in an unhappy relationship? Or maybe you were happy and your partner just ran off and did the wrong thing. And now here you are, you got half of your net worth after a difficult breakup. You've managed to get your relationships with your kids and your siblings back on track. But what about you? Are you going to be the person who has this long list of regrets that you didn't choose the right partner? And is it too late for you to get into another relationship with the right partner for you? One who will make you feel alive and one who will help you in your quest to solve the loneliness problem. Here you are, and you're facing a pretty dire situation where the cost of living is not comfortable, where the ability to attract a life partner that is what you deserve is not an easy thing to achieve. And loneliness is looking at you in every direction. Yeah, you have a few friends, but it is not going to solve the loneliness problem. Consuming large amounts of social media is said to be bad for your psychology. It's bad for your mental health. I mean, a little bit is good. Having friends on Facebook, but what are friends doing? Oh, look at me, I'm at the surf club, $500 a night. Look at me, I'm having lobster on my birthday. Everybody's just seeming like they're doing so well, and you're looking at this and going, wow, look at me, I'm here. It's been a year since I've been in a good relationship. It's been a year since I've had the love of my life to spend time with. My best friend lives across the country. My second best friend moved to Europe or died, and I am one lonely individual. And that was pretty much my life. I went from living large, I saw a perfect storm, once a decade or once every 20-year real estate crash. My kids all left the house that year, and I had an empty nest from being an overly involved swim parent and having all my friends being the other swim parents. The team activities went away. Attending the state championships went away. And then I had a difficulty in my relationship, and I ended up getting divorced. And it was a perfect storm. And it led me to a period of depression. It led to a period where I didn't take care of my health the way I should have. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't see myself as being someone I could love, and I couldn't quite work myself out of the box. Eventually, I got into a good 5-year long-term relationship, moved to Beverly Hills, sold some real estate in Beverly Hills, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't living a life with a lot of friends. That relationship I decided to end, and I went on to a second long-term relationship, but I chose some of the other attributes of a relationship, paying too much attention to how the woman looked, the physical aspect of the relationship. And we were good travel partners, but there was this huge void where I didn't have a close friend. I wasn't living with my best friend. Not everybody can pick up and move to the Philippines or Thailand or Ecuador. Not everybody has the resources. But what you can do is you can start to learn to love yourself. You can go to the junior college and have a hobby, and you can repair your relationships with your family members. You can reach out to your friendships that have moved away and put some effort into it. There are some things you can do. But if you're watching this channel, you've got it in the back of your head that you might want to just bust out of that box. You might want to break the mold, throw it on the floor, step on it. And, if your finances can handle it, if it's all true that $2,000 a month can give you a good lifestyle in the Philippines and $2,500 a month you can kind of live like I'm living, well, you want to see if it's possible. You want to see if you can do that. And for me, that was just what happened. I met Chrissy online. 41 days later, I met her in person. We are 16 plus months into spending every minute of every day together, and we'll be married in 2 months. And we have family members that live with us. We have a child in the house, a 5-year-old. I play golf every Thursday. I met a new expat yesterday that joined our regular crowd. I play cards every Monday with 8 expats. And that's all really the friends I need. And I feel and also, because I'm doing YouTube, I am networking. And when I do personalized consulting, and there's a link for that in the description box, you can just email me, by the way, at flyme2thephilippines@gmail.com. But when I kind of enjoy it, I really like meeting people, and they all tell me they know me from watching the channel. It's a crazy experience. It allows me to be creative, and it allows me to network with so many interesting people. I went from just a complete vacuum of friendship to I meet 10 different people a week, and most of them I would consider good friends and people I enjoy meeting and hearing and learning about and helping. And then here in Cagayan de Oro, whenever you meet an expat, we probably have a few hundred in town, and that's plenty. I don't need to be in Dumaguete where there's 2,000 or 5,000, and every time I go in a coffee shop, there's 8 more expats there. I don't need that. If I go to the mall, there's 1 or 2 expats typically in the mall that time I'm there. Or if I go to the Costco S&R here, there might be 1 there on a weekday. that's plenty for me. You know, I was in a fraternity and I had 100 fraternity brothers, and that was crazy having people that were fraternity brothers and you knew their name and their hometown. And, you know, there were probably 20 of the 100 that were really close, but I had a core group of 5. And for me, and I think for most people, that's what you need. You need a hobby, golf, playing cards, scuba, going to the beach club, tennis, pickleball, whatever it might be, woodworking. I have one friend, he likes to walk and pick up minerals. I have other friends, they do really interesting hobbies. Some teach English as a second language for a little extra money. But doing things in your retirement and doing it with people, like-minded people, is really a cure for this loneliness epidemic. So think about this. You might bring a Filipina back to America and you'll still have that loneliness epidemic. And, you know, it's possible that she'll make friends and you two as a couple will make lots of friends and you'll get out of your box. If you come to the Philippines, you're much more likely to get out of your box. Your money will go way farther and you'll have opportunities to go to waterfalls and play golf. Like I pay golf. It's only, I pay for my buddy's gas because he drives an SUV up the mountain, but it's normally like only $23 to play golf, including the caddy. In Cebu City, it's $100 to play golf. In Manila, it's even more. There's a lot of things you can do here that are really inexpensive. You can go to the beach, hardly any money at all. You can engage in hobbies, very, very inexpensive. And there's lots of like-minded expats that you can meet at the meetups or you can meet when you're just out and about. And it doesn't take too many. You don't need to be in the prime central location where all the expats are. A few scuba buddies, a few golf buddies, a few card buddies, a couple of woodworking buddies. You're good to go. And most importantly, if you can meet a life partner, a woman that you can enjoy your retirement with, where you can get in the car and drive 5 hours and forget to turn on the radio. You have a like-minded soul with you, someone you can talk about science, philosophy, history. And, you know, Chrissy didn't know a lot of history, but she's interested, and she's interested in everything, and she's really, really smart.
And now for our Every Couple Has a Story segment. I hope you enjoy all these segments on Every Couple Has a Story, because to me, they're very unique. And it's just something fun to watch. And sometimes they're surprising. So anyway, let's take a look and see what they have and enjoy this segment. Here you go.
And we want to share a kind of cute, kilig story about how we met, sort of speaking. Basically, what was through communication on Facebook, but we'll get in that detail later. Yeah, I don't think we ever told it, except I made a Facebook post after the trip where we just came from about 1.5 weeks ago. This was a beautiful trip.
Actually, only we share our stories with those people who we know personally. So yeah, for this time, I think it's time for us to tell them how did we met. It's been 6 years already.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, long story short, actually, I found Finn a video in the Facebook about promoting the Philippines. And with that, I told him, like, I messaged him personally, like, hey, thank you so much for promoting Philippines. And that's all the start with this kind of killing moment with us.
Yeah, then we started chatting, and then it evolved into promoting another place in Mindanao. So
actually, I was Miss Cuba Philippines in that moment, and our regional director, Miss R.D. May Inchuan, invited me to go to Mindanao to promote more of Misamis Oriental. And unfortunately, on that time, I was not able to go there because due to my schedules, I was really
hey, first of all, you were supposed to go there, but invited me to go there as well. That's where we were supposed to meet for the first time. The first video I ever saw was in Manila before I returned the favor, inviting her to Coron.
Coron, yeah, before
because
that, actually.
We couldn't meet in Mindanao. That was supposed to happen back then.
So, then I told R.D. Marin Chuan that, hey, I know someone. I did not met yet in person, but he's doing vlogging, promoting Philippines, and is a diver. So that's why I introduced you to the people. And That's the start of the beginning of our story.
So, in broader picture, more simplified, she was gonna go with the divers, exploring areas, and the director of tourism there
Mm-hmm.
invited me to go there as well. But then she was busy; she couldn't go. But I went still.
Yeah, he went there. I was so amazed.
Can I go? I still want to go explore. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to miss that opportunity. So I was like, okay, can come. Okay, no worries. We'll catch up sometime later, maybe.
Yeah, and but you met a lot of people there, like
Exactly.
You know?
And the beauty about this trip is I go there, I meet all these people, I have no idea who they are. That's where I meet Bo Mancao, which you'll see in the rest at the end of the video, where we're gonna showcase what we did in this trip 2 weeks ago. But to backtrack 6 years ago, going on the trip, it's a beautiful story as well, not only what I'm about to share, but of course between us, that's where we're supposed to meet. The main purpose of that time, we got there was one of the mayors in Magsaysay or something who wanted to explore new dive sites. They wanted to see if there's good enough dive site to promote some tourist destination. So just happened to be I'm there as well.
with Kulas, right?
No, Kulos is not there.
Where is he was in that time?
I don't know.
But I saw pictures of you guys.
No, that was different trip.
That was different.
Yeah, that was different trip. Yeah, I was alone there. But anyways, we go to this area, and I'm there. I mean,
You know, she handled that pretty graciously. Not like being on camera, shooting a video. He didn't edit it out. She thought he was with this guy. Well, becoming Filipino. That's what they're talking about. Kulis, which means lame person of the Philippines. I don't know. He wears a shirt that has that name on it all the time, which is kind of funny. Anyway, they know each other. They're friends. But yeah, it's pretty funny. She was pretty gracious, I thought. Very attractive lady. Obviously was a beauty queen. She's talking about Misamis Oriental, which I think is northern Mindanao, if I remember right. Okay, let's see what they say.
meet Ram, I meet Bo. You've seen them a few times in our videos in Malapascua, Bo and Julia. So we're there 6 years ago on these small bancas, going around.
With your
exploring
GoPro.
With the GoPro only. The guys with big, heavy camera rigs, professionals. And we're exploring these dive sites. The trip we did about 2 weeks ago, coming back after all those years and seeing the development and just being small, tiny part of it, that was the greatest experience. I don't have that great video from that trip. It was more about meeting all of my old friends from back then and seeing what has become in the tourism sector there. So it's a beautiful place in Misamis Oriental. You can fly to Butuan, 1 hour drive, and you're already there. So it's an up-and-coming place, and we truly enjoyed it. I want to give a big shout-out to everybody that invited us, RD May from 6 years ago, and then until now. It was fantastic. And yeah, let's just roll the video from that trip. But that's how we were supposed to meet and how we met.
And now, look at now.
Yeah, now we're
Scuba
here.
diving is big things for us.
Exactly. And now it's through scuba diving and tourism. That's basically how we met. And that spot, Magsaysay, Misamis Oriental.
Now we're exploring Yingong, Medina. There's
Oh,
more
it's new
vlog
dive set there.
potentials.
It's really cool. I like it there.
Anyway, that's it.
And
It's the start.
All right.
Welcome to new video, guys. We're gonna board the plane. It's a 2-hour delay, like normally, but we got free Jollibee for the delay, so we're going to Manila.
Classic Filipina. Makes me wait in line. Oh, Korean.
Made it to Manila. Hey, you know what's nice? We don't have to wear mask anymore in the flight.
What happened to your bag?
Broken.
Not strong enough.
Ay, ay, ay.
Piece of pepperoni.
Ay, ay, ay. hometown. Cagayan de Oro City, Mindanao.
Participating in a special event.
Accessible because Camiguin and Misamis Oriental dive sites are very near to each other.
We made it to Tukabe. It's 8 p.m. Long day. I think it's time for sleep. See you guys in the morning.
I want to be free.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can we open this? Yeah. Wow. Beautiful.
We're staying here in Duca Bay Resort here in Misamis Oriental. Very nice buildings just by the ocean. And this is a cool spot. It's similar like us in Daot, and it has there's much more black sand beach here. Ours is like in down like a golden brownish, but gets into black as well. We'll show that later. And yeah, we're attending some festival activities today. Awesome! We're on the boat going to a very cool dive site. It's a pier in Binog City here in Misamis, Oriental, Mindanao. So we're joined with Scuba de Oro, a very cool dive company that I know with like 6-7 years ago. One of the OGs for my diving career here. So let's have some fun. That's where we're going to. The pier somewhere. First, we gotta fuel up with some bananas. During the 5 days we spent there diving, we were mostly taking photos because it was a photo competition. However, I didn't compete as I was a guest, and instead I enjoyed the time with my friends there. And here are some of the shots we took during the time. And something fun to share, Philippines won the 5th year in a row the world's leading dive destination in Asia. So funny to see all my friends up there. And for a dive festival, it's basically a new phenomena happening around the Philippines. Many provinces across the countries are picking it up and hosting. It's almost like a fiesta. And on the final night, there's a nice ceremony where awards and money, cash, and prizes are given out.
Mr. Garrett Park. 50,000 pesos plus movie plus ROX merchandise and the long travel ticket.
That's Garrett all the way from Hawaii, United States. Amazing. He just won one.
First place,
But looking back, it was just so nice to see everybody here from 6 years ago where we were exploring on small bancas, and now it is a certified good dive destination in northern Mindanao. And that's it for the video. We're catching a flight to Cebu and Kumander.
Now it's time for the Expat Lightning Round. Where I quickly go through and cover some interesting clips from expat-related channels. You know, maybe something funny, something I thought was interesting, something shocking. They're meant to be kind of moving along pretty quickly from clip to clip, and that's why it's called the lightning round. So sometimes they're a little longer than others, but that's kind of the idea. So take a look and see what you think.
Every single party that you have, there needs to be a Lichon there. Should have a Lichon. It's tradition, guys. Lichon is for people that don't know, is a full roasted pig or hog, however you want to say it. And it's become a tradition in the Philippines to have what you call a lechon baboy at your party. If you ain't got a lechon, it ain't no party. You know what I'm saying? And if you are in a family, whatever, that really doesn't have a lot of money, you'll see them chip in, right, money just to get a lechon. You'll see poor families, right? They know they got a birthday coming up. They will save for months, dude, to make sure they have a lechon at their party.
Heard about Dumaguete. It has this outsized presence on the internet. You've got tons of Americans that have chosen to relocate here. And I just had to see what the hype was about. So I previously, this year, I was in Thailand and then Vietnam, but I really missed being able to communicate with people. Here, everybody has English. So it's so easy to make friends. It's so easy to meet people. There's just such a great community here to socialize with. After that, I visited a really special place recommended to me by my local friend. He said, Alex, I'm so appreciative that you wanted to come check out my city, but I want you to go check out Camigan Island.
So hold on, by the way, when you say local friend, is this a Filipino?
Yes, and I should correct because I've heard that the term local could be disrespectful. That's not my intention at all. Back in the US, when we say local, we mean it's somebody who grew up in that area, right? We don't mean this in an inconsiderate way. I've heard the better term is normal. So I should say my normal friend, he recommended that I check out Camigan Island. And so in Camigan, it's just this gorgeous island. It's, you know, it's a volcanic island. You have Mount Hibak there. It's really, really special. Part of me wants to keep it a secret, but I know that it's very, very popular as far as among international tourists. When I was there 5 years ago, I saw tons of international tourists, had some of the best Italian food I've ever had in my life, which was shocking. I didn't expect that, right?
All right. So that's going to do it for this week. That's this edition of Expat News. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notifications button so you can be notified when the future videos are ready and they come out and they're available. It will tell you if you hit the notifications button. Please let me know your comments in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts. Always want the feedback on Expat News. Good, bad, or indifferent. Let me know what you think and what I can do to make it better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time once I'm back from the Philippines. Take care.